The day football stood still when the heartbreaking news broke, Liverpool stood still. Football did, fans did, the world did. The death of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva in a tragic car accident left the sport in disbelief. No jersey number could be remembered. No goal stats seemed relevant. What mattered most was the life lost. 2 lives, actually. A son, a father, a brother, a husband, a teammate. The man with the ever-present smile, gone far too soon. Liverpool Football Club has endured grief before. From the Hillsborough disaster to the passing of legends, this is a club that knows what it means to mourn. But this was different. This was personal. It was current. It was raw. The sudden nature of Jota's death, just weeks after celebrating a league title and his wedding, turned the joy of summer into a stretch of endless sorrow. It wasn't just a player Liverpool lost, it was a beating heart within the squad. A soul deeply entwined with the club's identity and rhythm. A pre-season like no Tuesday morning was supposed to mark a new beginning for Liverpool under Arne Slot, a fresh chapter post Jurgen Klopp, the dawn of a new era. 3 new signings were scheduled to arrive, medicals were completed, kits prepared, GPS vests ready. But none of it mattered. Not in the way it used to, because instead of celebrating a future, the club was reckoning with a devastating absence. When players started to arrive at the AXA training ground in Kirkby, the atmosphere was not buzzing with excitement. It was subdued. Even the air felt heavy. Faces that had once been jovial and eager now appeared drawn and exhausted by sorrow. They had just returned from Portugal, where they stood beside Jota's coffin, where they embraced his wife, held his children, and wept alongside his devastated parents. Arne Slot's first true test for Arne Slot, it was not the tactical boards or fitness drills that would define his first day. It was grief and humanity. He addressed the players not as a manager but as a human being. There were no playbook, no clever speeches, just shared pain. Slot himself had been at the funeral in Gondomar, his eyes glassy with grief as he paid tribute to a player he was never truly able to coach. But the bond was already there. Today is not about football, he told the players softly. Today is about remembering a brother and giving each other strength. His voice cracked. And in that vulnerability, Slot won something more powerful than a tactical battle. He earned respect, connection, trust. The unspeakable loss for many in the squad, the pain remains unimaginable. Diogo Jota was not just another teammate. He was family. Mohamed Salah had shared a locker room with him for years. Trent Alexander-Arnold had celebrated his goals with signature embraces. Curtis Jones once spoke of Jota being the funniest and most humble guy in the dressing room. Virgil van Dijk called him a silent leader in training, fiercely competitive, quietly kind. Then there's Alisson Becker, who once shared that his young son mimicked Jota's goal celebrations at home. Or Dominic Szoboszlai, still fairly new to the club, who said Jota welcomed me like a brother. Every corner of the AXA training centre held a memory of Diogo. Every hallway echoed his laughter. His locker remains untouched. His boots are still there. His nameplate hasn't been removed. For now, no one can bring themselves to do it. Farewell in Gondomar. The funeral in Gondomar was as beautiful as it was heartbreaking. It was intimate, yet felt global. Portugal wept as one. Gondomar's streets were lined with red scarves and silent supporters. His hometown church, where he was married just days earlier, now held a different ceremony, one no one could have predicted. Nearly the entire Liverpool first team flew in. Arne Slot led the group. Andy Robertson and Virgil van Dijk carried floral tributes. Luis Diaz, Connor Bradley, and Harvey Elliott held hands with Jota's children in the procession. Many had no words. They didn't need them. Cristiano Ronaldo, unable to attend due to medical complications, sent a message so heartfelt it was read aloud during the service. Diogo was a light in our national team and a gift to the sport. We carry him in our hearts forever. The unfillable void, Jota's impact cannot be measured by goals or appearances. Yes, he scored 56 times for Liverpool. Yes, He had some of the most memorable moments, winners against Tottenham, crucial goals in Merseyside derbies. But it's not the goals that are missed, it's the man. No one can fill the space Diogo Jota has left behind. Not in the squad, not in the hearts of his teammates, not in the club's history. A club in REFLIC 2-0, and back at Kirkby, Liverpool FC, has temporarily paused much of its usual social media output. The pre-season media day was cancelled. Press conferences postponed. The club is grieving and showing others how to grieve with dignity. Behind the scenes, counseling sessions are being offered for players and staff. Jota's wife, Ruth Cardoso, has been invited to spend time at the club whenever she chooses. A memorial plaque is planned. So is a tribute wall. Rumors swirl about retiring the number 20 shirt for the season. And then there are the fans. Thousands have laid scarves and jerseys outside Anfield, letters, drawings, notes from children. One simply reads, "You played for us, but you belonged to everyone." Slowly, life returns. Grief does not come with a playbook. It doesn't have a deadline or a schedule. But life has to resume eventually, and for Liverpool, that means a pre-season tour in the USA. It won't be easy. How can you fly across the Atlantic for commercial games when your heart is still in a cemetery in Portugal? But Slot knows the answer is not to avoid planets, to carry Jota with them, to wear his memory like an armband, to run harder, to live fuller, because that's what Diogo would have done. The power of tribute. Every Liverpool game this season will be played for Diogo. There will be tributes before kickoffs, moments of applause, special patches on kits. A mural is already being painted in Anfield Road End. Every training session will begin with his name. And when Liverpool score their first goal of the season, the squad knows exactly what they'll do. Raise two fingers to the sky. One for Diogo, one for Andre. A message to the world. Liverpool have always been more than a club. They are a community, a heartbeat, a family. In the aftermath of this tragedy, that spirit has never been clearer. Rival clubs sent messages. Manchester United lit Old Trafford red in Jota's honour. Porto, Wolves, Atletico Madrid all paid their respects. Football, in its most beautiful form, united in mourning. But Liverpool will now lead by example. They will show the world how to turn grief into legacy. Here's a rewritten version of the script with smoother flow, more emotional resonance, and narrative polish. While preserving all the key points, that sentiment was shared most poignantly by Trent Alexander-Arnold, who returned to action with Real Madrid just over 48 hours after the devastating news of his former teammate, Diogo Jota's death had emerged. "I spent 5 years sharing a dressing room with him," said the former Liverpool right-back, following Saturday's victory over Borussia Dortmund. "It goes without saying, he will never be forgotten by anyone. He'll live long in our memories." His words were calm, but the pain lingered in his voice. "But at the end of the day, I still had a job to do today. I had to go out there, perform for the team, and help us win the game, no matter how difficult it was. As hard as it was, I had to push it to the back of my mind and focus on my role. I did my best. It wasn't easy, I won't lie about that. But I did it for him. I did it in honor of my close friend." In many ways, his presence on the pitch, focused and professional, yet visibly grieving, felt like the most genuine tribute he could offer Jota. A quiet nod to the selfless man they all knew. Someone who always put the team first, shunned the spotlight, and defined humility in the modern game. For a player like Jota, who let his football speak for itself, Alexander-Arnold's decision to carry on would have meant something. It's a difficult truth to digest, but the world moves on. The news cycle turns its pages. As brutal as it may feel, Diogo Jota's name will, with time, fade from the headlines. His tragic death, like those of Gary Speed, Marc-Vivien Foe, and more recently Matija Savic, will eventually give way to transfer gossip and match results. But that doesn't mean he will be forgotten. Nor does it mean fans must rush back to the routine consumption of non-Jota stories. There is no right or wrong way to mourn. Grief is personal, deeply so. Some supporters may choose to step away from football altogether for a while. Others may immerse themselves in it, using the sport as a source of comfort or healing. Likewise, players are navigating their own paths through this devastation. They must be allowed to grieve at their own pace, in their own way. This needs to be said to the lads clearly. There's no shame in emotion. There's no shame in grief, said Phil Thompson, Liverpool legend and former captain, during LFC TV's powerful tribute show on Monday. If you need to cry, do it. We're here. The summer was supposed to be a celebration. New signings, a new manager, fresh hope. Instead, Liverpool finds itself draped in mourning. Yet, if there is one club that understands resilience, one club that knows what it means to endure tragedy, it's Liverpool. This is a club built on defiance in the face of suffering. A club whose anthem is a promise to never walk alone. No matter how dark the path may become, still, nothing can compare to the grief now crushing Jota's loved ones. For his family, life will never return to normal, not truly. The reality of two sons Diogo and Andre being laid to rest within days of each other is beyond comprehension. The loss is too vast, too cruel. For Liverpool Football Club, the resumption of daily life training sessions, meetings, logistics feels surreal. But it is happening. Slowly, respectfully. The club's TV channel has resumed broadcasting. Staff have returned to their desks. On Tuesday, the Book of Condolence at Anfield will close, and the players will report back for pre-season. Some may find relief in the rhythm of football again. A simple training drill, a kickabout with familiar faces. Perhaps, in some small way, it will be cathartic. But for Arne Slot, the task is immense. He must now lead a group of players still reeling from trauma, still processing the sudden loss of one of their own. Tactical meetings and fitness tests pale in comparison to the emotional support these players need. Slot's role, for now, is not just coach, it's mentor, listener, and human anchor. Liverpool will carry on. It always does. But the scars of this summer will remain deep, fresh, and aching. Diogo Jota's name may not dominate news feeds forever, but it will never vanish from the hearts of those who knew him. His legacy will live on in the boots that step out at Anfield, in the shirts that carry his memory, and in the voices that whisper his name when the cop falls silent. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into part of your longer script, or if you'd like a thumbnail idea or headline suggestion.